We are with your Madden 21 franchise first take. We have a year 2 week 12 overview here. Today we'll be doing the Pretender versus Contender. But before that gets started, we will have the Play of the Year candidate be shown up on the screen here. This is a Texans game. As we saw, the Houston Texans had a 3-point lead over the Colts in the fourth quarter. And let's just look at this play. Justin Fields making the connection. I'll go silent so you can hear Jordan's reaction.
That's such a bad throw. What a catch! What a catch!
As you see, that play right there wins the Texans the game. Essentially ices it for them. And Will Fuller comes down with the one-handed grab. That's got to be play of the year so far. If there's any other plays that you guys would like to submit, feel free to at the Discord. To me on Discord in the DMs at Satchmo Life. Alright, but as I said earlier, we'll be going into Contender versus Pretender. We will only be talking about teams with 3 or less losses as of week 11 at the time of this recording. If you have more than 3 losses, I'm sorry to say you are a pretender. Starting off here, the 6-3 Texans, head coached by Mr. Imweik. And his 3 losses this year have been to the Pats, Bills, and Cardinals. And you know what I'm saying? If you can't beat these top teams that you go up against, you're not going to win the Super Bowl. And I really don't have much faith in Justin Fields. He only performs against those sorry CPU teams. When he has real competition, like the Patriots, Bills, the Cardinals teams that you'll see in the playoffs, he's not going to get it done. I see him being, first, second round exit, and this is pretenders if you ask me. Moving on, we have the 7-2 Chargers, head coached by Mr. McWhipball. And this season, he's had a very weak schedule. His only win came week 1 versus the Giants, where I think he got it because of a lot of people had no clue what his Chargers team was about, kind of caught the Giants off guard. I mean, this year, their running attack has just been phenomenal. This is the first running back I've seen since Adrian Peterson to be leading the MVP race. But with that, their passing attack has also been abysmal. They still have not hit the 1,000 passing yard mark. And if you ask me, that leads up to not a lot of success in the playoffs. I just don't see top teams, letting you run 200, 300 yards on them and win the game. It's not going to happen. However, the way Madden works this year with, BS on the run game, he could somehow perform an upset. I think he has higher upset potential than most, but I don't see this team as a legitimate contender. Moving on, we have the 7-2 Buffalo Bills, head coached by Eastside, and they've been phenomenal this year. Their only concern really is the New England Patriots. As you see, they had 2 very close losses to them this season, and I'm not sure how that's going to turn out. Although they're going back to the season series that started this year. They're 1-3 versus the Patriots. They have not been in the playoffs yet, though. We will see if the Bills turn a new, kick in that burner engine and beat the Patriots, or if the 3-1 record the Patriots have will show out in the playoffs if they get a matchup. The Bills this season tied for first in turnover differential. I really think that's why they win games. They don't turn the ball over a lot, and they force a lot of turnovers. Win the turnover battle, you're more than likely going to win the game. And this team, in 4 years, they have 3 rings, so there's really no question they are 100% legitimate contenders. Moving on, we have the Rams, who are head coached by Mr. Verified Saya. And I'll be honest, his good record so far has came to his weak schedule. His 2 losses came to the Cardinals, which, some may consider a top team, others may consider more towards the middle. But at the end of the day, you lose both of your games to the Cardinals. That's not looking good. Their only big win this year came to the Packers. Another question mark on that team. If he had a win under his belt like the Buccaneers, the Giants, the Bills, that means a lot more. These wins are not meaning a lot. I'll be honest with you. However, with their weak schedule, they do have the best statistical defense in the NFL in yards and points allowed. However, when they play against users, like I said, they've given up 20 to all 3 user teams they've played. This team's style is very similar to the Chargers. They're super reliant on the run game. I think they're pretenders. Let's see what Jared Goff has to say when head coach asks him to pass the ball.
I'm not going to, so quit asking.
Very interesting. As you see, he is very scared to throw the ball. He just likes to hand it off. That's all I have to say on the Rams. Here we are moving on. To the Patriots. Patriots are head coached by Mr. Buckets Getting 5, JR. And the Packers have been the Patriots have been phenomenal this season. They get a 5-1 record against their users. And this includes wins over the Buccaneers, the Texans, and 2 wins over the Bills. And top to bottom, I think they have the best roster in the league. When I say that, I mean they have Stephon Gilmore. Other than that, their peak isn't really too high, but they really don't have any holes. However, what I see with this team, they have to force turnovers if they want to win games. They're very good at it, but in all the games they put against Tampa Bay and Buffalo, they forced more than 3 turnovers. However, when they took the loss against the Steelers, which most people consider a very weak team, they forced no turnovers, and I think that's the main reason for the loss. So that's very important for them. However, I do believe they need to start talking with some more shit, so the playoffs will be interesting. You want to see your top team provide that spark for the rest of the league. But this team is undoubtedly some contenders. Moving on, we have the 8-2 Giants. Head coach by Mr. Elite X Sniper. And their record this year, 3-2 versus users, as they dropped the Week 1 game to the Chargers, and they dropped the game last week to Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Overall, this team last year, they're in a much different situation than they were last year. Last year at this time, they were 2-6, and they were looking like they weren't going to make the playoffs. So I really don't take the record too much into effect here, but you really can't say this team's anything but a contender. If you make the Super Bowl, you're a contender. The only issue I see with this team is quarterback. This is a quarterback situation. Whether Tim Tebow is going to be a starter or Daniel Jones, I really don't see the reason in starting Tim Tebow. He hasn't played too well this season, and even though Daniel Jones sucked it up in the Super Bowl, I feel like Daniel Jones is the way to go. That's all I have to say on the Giants, except we have this one quote here. When we ask Elite about his losses, here's what he's quoted as saying.
Huh?
Did you find the place okay?
No, I didn't.
It took you a while.
Huh?
Did you get lost?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Why are you here tonight?
I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't know what I'm talking about?
No.
As you see, very short-term memory when it comes to his losses. He only remembers the wins. Some say that's a good thing, others not so much. And moving on, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 8-1 record. Of course, this is head coached by our supreme leader and gracious commissioner, Mr. Satchmo Life. He has a phenomenal 6-1 record versus users this season. His only loss came against the New England Patriots, as we mentioned earlier. The biggest issue I see with this team is their turnovers. For being 8-1 is very surprising. This team is dead last in turnover differential. However, as we saw last week, they went up against the Giants. 0 turnovers in that game. So maybe they're turning a new leaf, or maybe they just got lucky. We're not sure. They are on a 5-game win streak, which is highest in the NFL, or the highest win streak in the NFL. Overall, I see this team as big contenders. Even though last year they got bounced to the Giants, if they make it past the Giants, I see them going to the Super Bowl. Moving on here, we have the 8-1 Packers, head coach by Mr. Clatch M. I'm not sure what that name means. They are led by Mr. Aaron Rodgers, who is currently in the lead for the MVP race, if you ask most people. He's only turned the ball over 4 times all season long. That's the best in the NFL. No one's coming close. I think that's the reason for the high record. They're 3-1 against users. However, it's good to mention that all of those wins were teams that aren't in the playoff picture at the moment. So we're not really sure how this team's going to play out when they play against a good team. So I'm holding off. I'm going to say they're pretenders, but I very much could switch. We'll have to see that week 15 and 17 when they take on the Cardinals and Tampa Bay Buccaneers to see if they actually have it in them. Moving on, we have the Arizona Cardinals, head coached by Mr. Vivid Full, 508-625, a.k.a. Mr. GOAT. He is a 5-0 record versus users. He's the only team to remain undefeated this year. And as we do know, before this, he was trying to target Patrick Mahomes before the trade deadline. However, he was not able to get him. Obviously, you're not going to get the best quarterback in the league. Very difficult trade to make. Not really confusing. They have Kyler Murray. Not sure why they wanted him so bad, but nevertheless, they got what they got. And right now they're the second best defense in points allowed. It's very big to mention because, with their running game between Kyler Murray and Jonathan Taylor is looking very good. If they compare good defense with that, this might be the first year I can see this team as legitimate contenders. And so there's the overview. That's our Pretender vs. Contender series. In the Contender section, we have the Bills, Patriots, Giants, Bucks, and a question mark on the Cardinals. And for the Pretenders, we have Texans, Chargers, Rams, and a question mark on the Packers. And before we go, have one last thing I'd like to talk about. The New York Jets. New York Jets this season are 2-7, head coached by Mr. NC Mudhens. I really want to talk about him because a lot of people going in, they were tanking for Trevor, and they said they were going to take off. Well, you're 2-7 with the best rookie quarterback we've ever seen. I'm not sure if he's their savior up to this point, and we have really no clue what's wrong with him. Whether this team's going to go forward with Trevor Lawrence, or will they tank again for bitch-ass Sam Howell of the UNC Chapel Hill team, who I will repeat just lost to Florida State a week ago. Very, very happy about that game. Let's just go take an overview. This is our head analyst, Mr. Eat That Pussy 445, talking about the Jets this season.
Losing after loss after loss after loss, losing season after losing season, losing, fucking losing. I mean, just fucking losing, my nigga.
Thank you, Mr. EDP. That is all for our first take episode, week 12. We'll come at you when the playoffs start.